In this video, we're going to go through on PSLE 2016 Mathematics Paper 1. So if you want to get a free PSLE 10-year series, you can go to easy1.sg/PSLE. So let's get started on the first question. Okay, question number 1. What does the digit 9 in 7.698 stand for? Okay, so let's go through every single digit in this question. So for the 7, we have it on the ones place. What about 0.6? Is it in the 1st place or the 10th place? So it's in the 10th place, right? Okay, and then same thing with 0.09. Oops, 9 over here. So what do you think its place is? If you say it's the 100th place, then you're right. And let's keep on going for the last digit, which is 0.008. And what is this place? Thousands place. Thousands place. Okay, there you go. So the answer to this question is option number 3. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Junhao paid $15 for 30 identical stamps. What was the cost of each stamp? So for this question, we know that 30 stamps is equal to $15. Okay, so is in cents, this whole thing over here. So what about one stamp? It's basically 15 divided by 30. Okay, so it's the same as 15 divided by 3 divided by 10. So 15 divided by 3, in this case over here, it will become 5. And then we divide it by 10, this will become 0.50 50 cents over here. Okay, and 50 cents in this case is equal to 50 cents. So I see over here. So the answer to this question is 50 cents. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. Which of the following is equal to 3 5 over 6? Okay, with this, let's draw a simple, what do you call this, fraction. So for this question, it's basically having mixed number converted to improper fraction. Okay, so what we need to do is, for this case, we need to first have the whole number multiply by the denominator. Okay, so we need to times it. Okay, and then after that, with this, then we will add our numerator. That's what we see over here. So we just plus. Okay, so in this case over here, what will this look like? Okay, so this is equal to, into this fraction. Okay, so this one will be 3 times 6 plus 5. Okay, so for this fraction over here, what will be the final answer for this top fraction? Okay, so in this case, 3 times 6, what will it become? Okay, 3 times 6 over here will be equal to 18. And 18 plus 5 will be equal to 23. So the answer to this question is 23 out of 6 in this case over here. So it's option number 3. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. The pie chart shows the different ways of group students go to school. What is the ratio of the number of students who walk to school to the number who go by bus? So let's zoom this in. All right, so we'll see that there is the MRT, walk, car, and bus. So first we need to get the bus, right? So the bus over here is basically 100% minus 40% minus 20% minus 10%. Okay, so we just combine this. So it's 40, 20, and 10. So 40 and 20 is 60, 70. So it's 100% minus 70%. Okay, and what will this equal to? This will equal to 30% in this case over here. So now we know what's the percentage for the bus. Now we want to know how many people walk. So in this case, the walk is 20%, right? So let's do that. So we know the bus is equal to 30% and the walk is 20%. So simply you can just put walk is to bus. It's you can put actually the percentage. So 20% is to 30%, right? And then you can just remove this, the percentage, and then you can convert it is to 2 is to 3. There you go. So the answer is 2 is to 3. All right. So this is option number 3. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following is a net of a cuboid? Okay, for question number 5. So you have the different cuboids. So let me just zoom this in so that at least you can see. So we have number 1. Okay, so number 1, do you think it is a cuboid? So for this case, it is. It is a cuboid. So we're going to put a tick over here. Okay, what about number 2? Number 2 is not really. So we also want to put in the correct one. Okay, so the wrong one is it can be either this. So I'm going to put a cross here. Okay, so this is the wrong one. And then this is the right one. That's what you see over here. So I'm going to put this in green. So this is the right one. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So which one do you think is the wrong one for option number 3? So in this case, this is the wrong one, right? Because there's an extra. So similarly, you can actually add this in. You can put it over here. Okay, you can put it over here or you can put it over here. So I'm just going to put it over here. Okay, so the last one, 4. Which one do you think is the wrong one? Okay, the wrong one is here. It's either side. It's either this one or this one. Okay, so I'm just going to put this one. Okay, and then same thing, we can just put the correct one over here. Oops. Yep. Paste. There you go. All right, and that's it. So that's the answer to this question. So option number 1 is the correct one. So make sure that on the opposite sides, there's only 2 rectangles in this case. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. In the scale below, what is the value of x? Okay, so let's zoom this in. So we have here x, and what we need to see is the different numbers and gaps especially. So let's calculate the number of gaps over here, right? So we have 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gap, 4 gap, and 5 gap. So let's write this down. 5 gaps is equal to how many? What's the difference? Okay. So you might be thinking, oh, it's just 1. No, right? So from 6.0 to 5.9 is actually 0.1. Okay, or 0.10. Okay. So with this, we can actually put here 5 gaps at 0.10, and then 1 gap is equal to 0.10. Okay, why we put a 0 at the end is because we can divide it by 5. So it's easier to see. And what would this be equal to? 0.02. Okay, so 1 gap is 0.02. So now we want to know how many gaps we have from 6.0 to the x. So 1, 2, and 3. So we write here 3 gaps is equal to 3 times 0.02, and this will give us 0.06. So now x will then be equal to 6.0 plus 0.06, and this is equal to 6.06. And the answer is option number 4. There you go. All right. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. In the figure, BCE is an equilateral triangle. ABCD is a trapezium with AD parallel to BC. So you see AD over here. AD is parallel to BC. Then DAB is 68 degrees. Find ABE. So ABE is this one over here. So remember trapezium angles on the opposite parallel lines. Parallel, let me just write this down. Parallel lines are equal to 180 degrees. So what that means is that 68 over here, let me draw this, put it in red. 68 over here, okay, let me make it smaller. 68 and this CBA, right? So in this case, angle DAB plus angle CBA is equal to 180 degrees. So if you are able to get CBA, then the next thing is we also know that, let me just draw another one, that this over here is an equilateral triangle. Okay. So that means this is, the blue one is 60 degrees over here, right? Let me make it a little bit smaller. That's what I see over here. So once we get this angle, this DAB CBA angle, then we are able to get the angle that we're looking for, which is this angle, right? The purple angle. Okay, so with that said, angle CBA is equal to 180 minus 68. This will become, you just do the calculation, it will be 112 degrees. Okay, and then the red angle CBA, we just minus 60. So angle ABE, which is the purple angle, is equal to 112 minus 60, and this will give us 52 degrees. So I see over here. So there you go. The answer is option number 1. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. By rounding each of the numbers to the nearest whole number, estimate the value of 29.5 plus 60.4 plus 9.87. So we need to round each number to the nearest whole number. Okay, so if we want to round to the nearest whole number, we need to see the first decimal place if it's 5 or more to round up. Okay, so let's go for 29.5. Oops, 29.5. So in this case, 5 is, 0.5 is in the one decimal place or digit number 5. Okay, digit 5 is in a one decimal place. Therefore, we round up 29.5 to 30. Okay, so we round up 0.5 with plus 1 to 9, it becomes 30. Okay, what about 60.4? So the digit 4 is in the one decimal place, therefore we don't, right? Don't round up. and this will then become 60.4 will become 60. Okay, so let me explain a little bit more. Digit 5 is in the one decimal place, and since okay, since 5 is since 5 is the number that we can round up, therefore we round up. Okay, digit 4, so since 4 is less than 5, we don't round up. Okay, so this will become like this. 60.4 becomes this, and then 39.5 will become like this. Okay, all right. And then last one, we have 9.87. 9.87. Okay, since digit, let me just copy this. So since digit 8 is in a one decimal place, since 8 is more than 5, we can round up. Therefore, 9.87 will round up to plus 9 plus 1 is 10. So as you see over here. Okay. So now if we were to do this, so we have 30 plus 60 times 10. So I see over here. Okay. So order of operations, we multiply first. So 30 plus 600, right? So we multiply first according to order of operations, right? Okay, so we multiply first according to order of operations. So 30 plus 600, and then this will be 630. So I see over here. Okay, so the answer is option number 2. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 9. All right, which one of the following fractions is nearest to half? Okay, so this is a bit of a tricky question. So I'm just going to help you visualize it a little bit more. Okay, so in this case, we have 3/4. Then after that, in this, we will have 3/5. And then the next one is 3/7, right? And the last one is 3/8. Okay, so for this, if you were to look closely, right, which one is nearest to the halfway point as what I've indicated in this dotted line over here? It kind of slanted, but yeah. So the easiest way without really using visualization, because this one you really need to measure it correctly. I'm using software, so it's easier to visualize. So what you can do is actually you can have half minus all of the fractions. That's what you see here to get the difference in terms of the length from half, right? So in this case over here, the distance will look something like this. So you have this distance, right? And then for 3/4, then you have this distance for 3/5. Then you have this distance for 3/7. Okay, like this. And then you have distance for 3/8. So this one is from here, and then 3/8 will look like this. Okay, and then we can compare which one is the smallest difference. So in essence, we minus half to each fraction to measure the distance from half. Okay, and from here we can just do the calculation. So for 3/4, 3/4 minus half is equal to 3/4 minus 2/4, which is 1/4. Okay, so that's the distance. For 3/5, we can minus half if I'm not wrong. So 3/5, we have to measure this will be 6 out of 10 minus 5 out of 10. This will be 1 out of 10. Okay, so the distance over here, if you look like this, right? So this is 1/4 of the distance. Okay, don't worry if it doesn't make sense because we need this distance to measure, right? So 110 is the distance. Okay, what about 3, 7? Okay, so 3 out of 7. So I think this should be half minus 3 out of 7. Okay, in this case, right? Because these are excess. So we have a shortage over here. So 3, 7 will be 14. So this will be 7 out of 14 minus 6 out of 14. This will become 1 out of 14. Okay, so 110. This is 1/14 over here. All right, and then let me make this a little bit smaller. And then last one, for okay, I will just put 1/14 here with the arrow. Okay, last one, we'll put half minus 3 eighth, which is equal to 4 eighth minus 3 eighth is equal to 1 over 8. Okay, and then we'll put 1/8 over here. That's what you see over here. Okay, so from here, can you visually see which one has the smallest distance? I think it's pretty straightforward. The answer to this question should be 1/14, right? So 1/14 is the smallest distance. So you see 1/4, 1/10, 1/14, 1/8. Okay, so the smallest distance is where the denominator is the highest. Okay, denominator. So which means 1/4, 1/14, sorry, from 3 out of 7 is the closest to half. So the answer is option number 3. There you go. So that's the answer. Okay, a bit tricky, but yeah, it's good to have this kind of question, I guess. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. A string of beads on the table is partly covered by a piece of cloth as shown. There are 2 white beads between every 2 black beads. Although there are 14, altogether there are 14 black beads. What is the total number of white beads? Okay, so let's zoom in. Okay, right. So this is a repeating pattern question. So if you want to know more about this, you can go to easy1.sg/blog. Okay, so if you were to look closely, right, you can see that there's a repeating pattern, right? You just see this, oops, this very, very big. Okay, so I'm gonna make it smaller. So you have one pattern and then you have another pattern, right? So like this. Let me, okay, something like this, right? So the pattern is black, white, white. Okay, pretty straightforward. So this is a repeating pattern. So it goes black, white, white, and so forth and so on. So we know that there are 14, there are 14 black beads. So there are 2 white beads between every 2 black beads. 2 white beads. Okay, but sure. I mean, yeah, but from the picture over here, yeah lah. So the kid, yeah. So with this, we know that there's black, white, white as well. Okay. So now there are 14 black beads. So we also need to, one thing that maybe if you know the pattern, but you need to also know there is an ending uh, pattern over here, right? So there is also a ending black bead. Okay. So that means the pattern, the number of black beads in a pattern without the ending is equal to 14 minus 1, which is 13. Okay. So in this case, we have 13 pattern group, right? So pattern group, I call it pattern group. So number of black beads in a pattern group without without the ending is this. Okay, so number of black beads in a pattern. So we need to have without the last black bead, right? Okay, let me just put this in another color in green. Okay, without the last black bead is basically this. So we have 13 black beads pattern group, right? Or number of pattern group without the last black bead. Okay, so now with that, we will know how many white beads. So number of white beads is equal to 13 times 2, which is 26. Okay, and that's the answer, 26. Okay, all right, so that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 11. A rope of length 7.2 meters was cut into three pieces. The first piece was three times as long as the second piece. The second piece was twice as long as the third piece. How long was the second piece? All right, so we can say the first piece is three times as long as the second piece. And then the second piece is two times as long as the third piece. Okay. So in this case, what we can do is there's multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to use simultaneous equation. So let's first F be first piece. Okay. Then let S be second piece. And then let T be third piece, right? So here, third piece. So now it will be a little bit easier. So F is equal to 3S. And 1S or S is basically equal to 2T. So now we know that this is what it looks like. So what we can do is we can say F is equal to 3 times 2T, T equal to 6T. Okay, so in this case, F is equal to 60, 1S is equal to 2T, and then T is T, right? T is T. Okay, so with that said, what will be the total? Total is equal to F plus S. So I'm going to just put S over here, right? S plus T. Okay, and total in T, right? So which is equal to, let me just put this as an arrow, 60 plus S is 2T plus T, and this will be equal to 9T. So the total is 90. So 9, not 90, 9T is equal to 7.2 meters. So 1T is equal to, so 7.2 divided by 9 is equal to 0.8 meters. So how long was the second piece? So we know that the second piece is 2T. So 2T, or the second piece, is equal to 2 times 0.8, which is equal to 1.6 meters. And that's the answer. Option number 2. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. A shop gave a discount of $5 for every $30 spent. Mrs. Tan bought a jacket and paid $81. What was the price of the jacket before the discount? Okay, so with this, we can just put here, right? So dollars 30 spent, we have dollars 5 discount. Okay, so that means if you were to have $60 spent, we will have 5 times 2, yeah, 5, what's my 5 times 2 equal to dollars 10 discount. Okay, so with $81, dollars 81, that means we will have $10 discount. Okay, right? So in a sense, you say remaining, if we say $60 spent, we left 81 minus 60, which is equal to $21, right? So with this, doesn't really count at all. Okay, so we don't count the remaining, as we need exact $30 to get additional $5 discount. Okay, so with that, we have $81, and then we have $10 discount. So with that said, the price of jacket price after discounts is equal to 81 minus 10, which is $71. Okay, there you go. So the answer is option number 1. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 13. Okay, Mr. Lee traveled 2.8 kilometers in a taxi from home to his office. His taxi fare was based on the charges shown below. How much was his taxi fare? That's what I see over here. Okay, so we know the first kilometer is equal to $3.60. Now the next thing is we need to know what's the remaining uh, distance, which is equal to 2.8 divided by, minus, not divide, sorry, 1 equal to 1.8 kilometers. So number of additional 400 meters or less is equal to 1.8, and then we divided by 400. So we need to convert 1.8 kilometers. So this will be 1.8. So 1.8 kilometers is equal to 1.8 times 1000 meters equal to 1800 meters. So with that, we will just have 1800 divided by 400, which is the same as 118 divided by 4, which is equal to 16 remainder 2. Sorry, 4 remainder 2. Okay, so if you calculate using workings, it should be 4 remainder 2. Let me just move this up a bit. Okay, so now we know there's 4 remainder 2. We need to include the remainder as well. Okay, so that means this is essentially, let me round up to number 5. So that means additional cost is equal to 5 times 0.22. Okay, so how do you calculate this? Okay, it's the same as 5 times 0.2 plus 5 times 0.02. Okay, all right, so if I were to break this down, okay, it's the same as this. It's just that 0.2 with the plus 0.02. That's what I see over here. Okay, so now it's easier to multiply. So 5.02 is 1.0. Okay, plus, right, where's my plus? 0.10. And this will be dollars 1.10. Okay, so total will be equal to 3.60 plus 1.10 equal to $4.70. That's what I see over here. Okay, so the answer is option number 3. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 14. Okay, in the figure, PQRS is a square, QR is equal to TR, and TQR is 70 degrees. Find the RST. So let me zoom this in. Okay, is this really okay? Right. So now, if I were to zoom this in, so I see over here, right? Okay, so we know that QR is equal to TR. So QR over here, okay, let me make this small, right? QR is equal to TR. And since, if I were to draw another one, since this is a square, RS is equal to QR. So that means these are the same. That's what you see over here. Okay. So if I were to write this down, so since this is a square, QR is the same as RS. That means QR is equal to TR is equal to RS. Okay, so now the next thing is, we want to know what is RST. RST. So I think you know, right? Do you? Okay, so first thing first is to get RST, we need to get this angle. So let me draw another angle. So I see over here. Okay, so if we know this angle, we know this angle, right? So RST is this purple angle. So if you know these two angle, then we know this, right? So how do we get one of this purple angle? We need to know this uh, TRS, which is this green color angle. So we also know that this angle, let me just make it black, this big angle, since this is square, this is 90 degrees. Wait, okay, so this is 90 degrees. So if we are able to get, oops, if we are able to get this angle, then we can minus this green, we can minus with 90 to get a green angle, which will make us get the purple angle, which is what we are finding. All right, so with that said, let's get the orange angle. So it's QRT. So angle QRT is equal to 180 minus, since uh, QRT, yeah, triangle QRT is an isosceles triangle. Okay, so QRT is 180 minus 70 minus 70, which is 40, right? So yeah, 40 degrees. Okay, so we know QRT is 40 degrees. Then angle TRS. Okay, so I'm gonna put here as highlighted in orange. Okay, I'm just gonna put like this. Then TRS is highlighted in green, so easier to reference, right? Okay, so for this will be equal to 90 minus 40, which is 50 degrees. Okay, and then from here we are able to get angle RST, which is highlighted in purple, which is equal to 180 minus 50. Okay, and then we divide this by 2. Okay, and 180 minus 50 is 130 divided by 2. This will give us 65 degrees. Dig. Okay, you don't spell degrees with an I, it's an E. Okay, 65 degrees. So the answer is option number 3. So I see over here. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 15. A machine started printing posters at 9 a.m. on Monday at the rate of 1,000 posters per hour. After every 6 hours of printing, it was stopped for an hour. How many posters were printed by 11 a.m. the next day? Okay, so this one, remember, the next day, right? It's not from 9 to 11. So, okay, so over here, what we need to do is we need to calculate number of hours, right? From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. next day. Okay, so 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. next day is equal to 24 hours. And then, what do you call this? 9 a.m. next day to 11 a.m. next day is equal to 2 hours. Okay, so now the thing is, if you were to divide by 6, not really the correct one. So we also know that, okay, so I will just put like this. Then total hours is equal to 24 plus 2 equal to 26 hours, right? Okay, so for every 6 hours, we have to stop for 1 hour. Okay, then that means 7 hours is equal to this one. So 7 hours is equal to 6 hours, and then stop for 6 hours working, stop for 1 hour. Okay, 6 hour printing, right? And then stop for 1 hour. Okay, so with that said, so if we have 14 hours, right? Let's brute force this. That means this is 12 hours printing, stop for 2 hours. If we have 21 hours, then that means this is 18 hours printing, and then stop for 2 hours and 3 hours. Okay. What about 26? Okay, so 26 hours is 18 hours printing, stop for 3 hours, and then additional 5 hours printing. Okay, so 18 hours, or I'll just put here lah, 18 hours plus 5 hours. Okay, gonna put like this. Stop for 3 hours, and then this will be 21 hour printing, and then stop for 3 hours like this. Okay, this is equal. So now we know we have the 21 hours printing. So next thing is blah, 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 blah. So number of posters. So number of posters printed, okay, is equal to 21 hours times 1000, and this is equal to 21,000. So I say, sorry, this is not 21, this is 23. Oh my. Okay, 23, 23. So it's 23,000. Okay, so it's option number 3. There you go. So that's the answer. All right, question 16. Write 1,002,000 in numerals. Okay, so 1,000,000 is equal to 1,000,000,000, and this is 1,000,000. Okay, so what about 2 or 2,000? This will be 2,000. So if you combine together, so 1,000,000, which is 6 zeros, plus 2,000 equal to 1,000,000, right? And 2,000. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question 17. Find the value of 7.5 minus 1 over 8. So in this case over here, we have 7.5 minus 1 over 8. So we need to find the lowest common multiple. So for 12 and 8, what do you think the lowest common multiple is? Okay, so 12 and 8 lowest common multiple should be 24. So out of 24 minus out of 24. So in this case, 1 over 8 is 3 out of 24, while this is 14 out of 24. And 14 minus 3 will be 11 out of 24. Okay, that's it. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 18. What is the volume of the cube shown below? So cube is basically all sides, which are length, breadth, and height, are the same. So cube volume will be equal to, in this case, right, length times breadth times height. So for me, I just like to write this down so that it's easy for you to follow. So the length is 9 centimeters, the breadth is 9 centimeters, and the height is 9 centimeters as well. Okay, and 9 times 9 times 9. So we break it down, 81 times 9. Okay, so if we're going to break this down even further, you can do that. So you can bracket this, right? So 80 plus 1 times 9. Okay, and then this will be 80 times 9 plus 1 times 9. So this will be 80 times 9 is 270, and then plus 1 plus 9 is 9. So the answer to this is 279 centimeter cube over here. So I think we have the answer lah. Right. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 19. Express 0.3% as a fraction. So if you know about fraction, right? So 1% is equal to 1 out of 100. Okay, so straightforward, right? So in this case, what about 0.1%? Wait, what's my percent? 8%. Okay, so that means we actually have to divide, right? In this case over here. So let me just put this down. So that means we have 1 out of 100, and then we divided by 10. So in this case, we can make this into both a fraction, which is 10 of 1. Okay. And then after that, we can then do a fraction divided by fraction. So the divide will then become into multiply, and then we flip this whole fraction, which is 1 out of 10. So that means this will be 1 out of, so you just multiply 100 and 10 together. So in a way, you can just bracket this, right? So it's 100 times 10, and this will then become 1 out of 1000. So now we know that 0.1% is 1 of 1000. What about 0.3%, which is basically equal to 1 out of 1000, right? Times 3, okay? Which is basically 3 out of 1000. Okay, and that's it. There you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 20. Part of the tessellation, which is basically this whole shape, repeating shape that is joined together, is shown below. Extend the tessellation by drawing two more units shapes within the grid. So we can just close this for a bit and we can look at this. So in this case, let me also draw it, right? Okay, so what we can do is let me just highlight in red so it's easier to see. The tessellation is basically two, what do you call these? Are two dots, right? So, and then we have one dot, and then we have one to the side, and then like this, what do you call this? Across one, and then this will be a simple, like, what do you call this? A square, something like this. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'll probably do it here since this whole thing takes around 2 by 2. So if I were to draw an arrow, okay, so this takes around 2 space, right? 2 space, and this also take around 2 space. So I need to find 2 by 2 space. So from here, I could find this 2 by 2 space over here. Okay, so what I will do is I will just create, so I'm going to use green to create the shape over here. So I'm going to create one, and then after that, I'm just going to go across, and then I need to do like an N, and then create a space, I mean a square, right? And then I will have to cut through, and after that I will just cross. Okay, so this is one done. Okay, I mean when I do it digitally I can copy and paste, but of course you're not going to do it digitally in your exam, so you have to literally just draw it. Same goes, so I need to find 2 by 2 space. So this is one, this is another one, so I'm gonna use this whole area over here. Okay, so same thing. Now we try this part. So two space like this. Okay. And then after that, one space, and then go across like that. And then another one, another one. So this will form a square and then like an N. That's what you see over here. Okay, there you go. So this is how you draw this question. Okay, for this one. Okay, so you can do the other way of this shape, right? But I'm just doing the one that I just choose one that's very easy for me to just follow. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 21. Measure and write down the size of angle W in the figure. That's what you see over here. Okay, so I have a protractor over here. So usually what I recommend is actually you put a notch. Okay, so you do a notch on either side. So I'll probably do a notch like this. Okay, something like this. So a notch perpendicular to whatever line you're trying to calculate. So and then after that, you just rotate your protractor. So most of the time, I will recommend you to just help. What do you call this? Uh, Rotate your paper as well, cause it's easier, right? Actually, I do recommend to rotate your paper so it's easier. Okay, so because your protractor has this, I hopefully there is this T line, which usually there is, then you can just move your protractor, okay, over to the T as what you see over here. And then from there, you can measure how much, right? So you can also extend the line using a ruler, and then just extend the line like this so that you can actually measure the angle. That's what you see over here. Okay, so the angle is not 50, it's more than 90 degrees because it's a big angle. That's what you see over here. So then you can just measure. This should be 125, 6, and 7. So in this case, 127 degrees. In this case over here. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 22. There are 6 shaded squares in the figure. Shade 3 more squares to form a symmetric figure with AB as a line of symmetry. Okay, so with this, what you can do is you can just do a mirror image, right? So in this case over here, what you usually do is that you just see from one side, right? You see if there is the other side that is shaded. So this side is good. Okay, so now let's do the other one. So there's another side over here. So that means we need to shade this part. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a shading thingy, shaded square, something like this, right? Okay, and then I'm just going to put it like this. Okay, so I shade this part. So I'm gonna make this green so it's easier, and you know that it is the shaded part. Okay, let's move on. So let me remove this. Okay, let's move to the next one. So this one. So if we just measure, so this is one space, right? So that means if we were to do the opposite side, it's supposed to be here. Okay, so that means for this case, right, we're going to put this square over here. Okay, all right, that's it. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's move to this one. Okay, so that means this shaded is the other side, so is one triangle space away. So that means we will do the same. So one triangle away, we're going to get another of this shaded part as well. And then from the rest is all in this case over here, all are symmetric. Okay, so now this is a symmetric kind of shape, and that's it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 23. Write down all the common factors of 12 and 27. Okay, so let's write 12 on what are the different multiples. So 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, not 5, 4. Then, yeah, that's it. 4 times 3, 6 times 2, and then 12 times 1. Okay, so that's it. Let's go for 27. So 27 is 1 times 27. All right. And then can we do 2? Nope. 3? Yes. 9. 3 times 9. Can we do 4? No. Can we do 5? No. Can we do 6? No. 7, 8, 9. Okay. So 9 is that. 10, 11, 12. Not really. So yeah. 3 times 9, it's 27. So what is the common factor? So common factors are, in this case, will be 1 and 3. That's it. Okay, so the answer is 1 and 3. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 24. The figure is made out of 3 squares. What fraction of the figure is shaded? So in this case over here, let's draw some lines. So we can see that in the middle we have a square that is split into 4 different triangles. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do for the rest of the squares. So in this case, we're gonna create another square, and then we're going to create another square as what I see over here. Okay, so we can write down as well. Okay, that total, not squares, triangles, total triangles, right, is equal to 4 times 3, which is equal to 12, right? Okay, so total triangle, so because one square is equal to 3 triangles, okay, and then 3 squares, sorry, not 3, 4. Okay, my brain not really working. 3 squares over here, right? 3 squares is equal to 4 times 3 triangles, equal to 12 triangles. Okay, so now we need to just count how many shaded triangles there are. So this is 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, and then we have 5. Oops, 5, and then we have 6. 7 is here. Then we have 6 over here. Okay, there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So shaded triangles is equal to 7, and then a fraction shaded is equal to 7 out of 12. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer, 7 out of 12. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 25. Find the value of 15k out of 2 minus 3k plus 1 when k is equal to 4. So in terms of fractions, right, we have 15k, this 2 minus, out of 2 minus 3k plus 1. Okay, so in this case, when k is 4, then we will, okay, so this is 15k out of 2 is the same as 15k divided by 2. Now we just swap the k with 4. So then will be 15 times 4 divided by 2 minus 3 times 4 plus 1. Okay, so 15 times 4, this will be 60. Then we just continue, right, from here. 60 divided by 2, right? So then this will be 30. So 60 divided by 2, we do the next one. And then minus 3 times 4 plus 1. So order of operations, we always go for the divide and multiply from left to right. So the next one is 3 times 4. So this will be 30 minus 12 plus 1. And then from here, we can just do as per normal. So 30 minus 12 is 18 plus 1 equal to 19. So I see over here. Okay, that's it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 26. A trapezium T is drawn by joining dots on the square grid below with 4 straight lines. In the same way, draw a rectangle with twice the area of T and label the rectangle R. Okay, so let's zoom in to T. How do we find the volume? How do we find the area of T? Okay, so if you look carefully, right, in this case over here, it actually is one rectangle plus one triangle. Okay, so and then after that, we can use the gaps for us to measure what's the area of this trapezium T. So in this case, I'm going to measure the base of the triangle, which is 2 over here, right? Okay, it's too big, so I'm just gonna put here 2, make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so this is already small. Then for the rectangle is 1 space, right? Okay, and then both of the rectangle and the triangle height is how many space or gaps? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means this is 4, right? So now we can measure the, so T is 3 or trapezium T is 1 triangle and 1 rectangle. So let's go for the area. So area of triangle is equal to half times base times height, which is in this case is equal to half times base is 2 times height is 4. In this case, it's just 4. Okay. So now what about the area of rectangle, which is also equal to 1 times 4 equal to 4. Okay. So total or trapezium area, total area is equal to 4 plus 4, which is equal to 8. All right. So now we know that the total trapezium is 8. In the same way, draw a rectangle with twice the area of T. So that means we need to find the total area, which is basically 2 times of the trapezium T total area, right? So rectangle total or rectangle, new rectangle area is basically twice, right? Which is equal to 8 times 2, which is 16 in this case over here. So we need to find how to draw the rectangle. So 16, if you were to break it up, 16, if area is 16, then we can have length. Can so it's basically the equation or length, the length and breadth can be 8 times 2, something like this. So the length and breadth can be 8 times 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw the rectangle. So it can be anywhere, right? Draw a rectangle with twice. Okay, sure. So we have 1 and 2, so 2 gaps, and then we can just draw the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we can see. So there's one gap, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so this is 8, and this is, let me just put it here lah. This is 2. Okay, so in this case, we have our rectangle and label the rectangle R, capital R. So I'll see over here. All right, so that's it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 27. A trapezium T is drawn by joining dots on the square grid below with 4 straight lines. In the same way, draw a parallelogram with the same parameter as T, label the parallelogram P. Okay, so we have this trapezium T over here. So how do we draw a parallelogram? So what I'm going to do is that since we don't know how to measure the slanted line over here, right? So if you look carefully, this slanted line, in this case, has this middle part over here. Okay, and we have two dots over here. Okay, so let me just draw a green one. Okay, so we have one here and then another one here. That's what we see over here, right? So there's two slanted lines. So that means we can actually just draw something like this, right? Draw a parallelogram that's looking something like this. Okay. So now once we know that, the next part is we just need to get the rest of the different, what do you call this, length for the straight lines. Okay. So over here we can get, let me make this small. Okay. So this is one, right? So we'll see over here. Then the other one, we can put it here as 3. Okay, then this is 3. And lastly, this vertical line is 1 gap, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 4 gaps. 4. So I see over here. Okay, so if you were to measure the straight line parameter, it's equal to 4 plus 3 plus 1 is equal to 8 per per perimeter perimeter parameter perimeter. Okay, so then the length on each side will be equal to 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So that means this line over here, this parallelogram, will then be 4 gaps in between. Oops. So I'm just gonna put like this. Okay. So if I were to draw the line, it will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Medium size, and then same thing over here as well. And there you go. So this will be the P for the parallelogram. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 28. The average three different two-digit numbers is 25. Of the three numbers, find the largest possible number. Okay, so we have three average numbers or two-digit numbers, which is equal to 25. So to get the total from average, it's basically average times, sorry, 3, yeah, average times total, or number of numbers. So essentially this will be equal to, okay, in this case the average is 25, and then how many number of numbers we have? 3. Okay, and this will then will be equal to 75. Okay, so we know we have 75 over here. All right, so we also have 3 average 2-digit numbers. So in this case, what will be the smallest 2-digit number? In this case, it will be 10. Okay, so there we have 75 minus 10, which is equal to 65. Okay, this is the smallest 2-digit, right? 10, right? Now, second smallest 2-digit number, what will it be? 11. Then from there, we just minus off 65 minus 11 will be 54. Okay, so the answer is 54 over here. There you go. That's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 29. Figure ABCDE has an area of 26 centimeters square. ABD and CBE are straight lines. Find the area of the shaded triangle BDE. Okay, so let's look closely over here. So how do we get the shaded area? So let's recap from this question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this out. So this area A, B, C, D, and E over here, it's not the best drawing. Okay, is this one, this whole thing. Why did it break off? Okay, so this whole area is 26 centimeter square. So how can we get this shaded area? So first thing is, what we can do is we can get this triangle, so the big triangle that is not really overlap. Okay, so this triangle ABE over here. So if we minus this ABE triangle as what we see over here, right? Then what will we get? We will get this little notch over here. Okay, so this little triangle over here. So you see that if we minus ABE, we will get BCD, this whole triangle over here. So why do we need to get this triangle? Because if we get this other triangle, let me put in blue. So this other triangle, right? CDE. Okay, CDE. So if you are able to get this area of the triangle minus BCD, which is this triangle, then we can get the shaded area as what we see over here. All right. So now let's do it step by step. Okay, first thing is we need to get triangle ABE. So triangle ABE area is equal to, right? So ABE, which is this whole thing, let me move this out. Okay, oops. Okay, so what we have half times 8, which is the base, times 5, and this will give us, right, in this case 4 times 5, 20, right, centimeter square. So this ABE area. Okay, now we got ABE area, we can just minus to get BCD, right? So let's get the other triangle. Triangle BCD is equal to 26 minus, so ABE is 20, and this will give us 6 centimeter square. Okay, so this is BCD area. Then the last one, which is the triangle CDE, which is this purple one over here. Oops. Okay, so CDE. So CDE, triangle CDE, right? CDE is equal to half times 5, which is the base, times what's the height? 4, right? The height is 4. So whenever you see the perpendicular square over here, this is the base, and usually the dotted line is not usually, the dotted line height is the height. Okay, so with this, what would this be equal to? So this is basically half times 4. This should be 5 times, sorry, 5 is equal to 10 centimeter square. Now we are able to find BDE. So the shaded triangle BDE, which is equal to this whole purple one minus BCD. That's what we see over here. Okay, so this whole triangle is 10 minus BCD is 6, and this will be equal to 4. There you go. So the answer is 4 centimeter square.